Alright guys, the time is now for another entry in our Community Cast series. In this match, we're going to have a showdown between the Empire, who's going to be held by the Gobbo King, and he's going to be facing off against the Skaven hordes, who are going to be led by Ninja Hunt. So without further ado, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So for the Gobbo King in the front line, it looks like he's going to have a mass core of spearmen, and I don't think they have shields. So it looks like he's trying to save the money, go a little bit wider, and allow for a couple more expensive units. And honestly, I mean, the shields are quite useful against skirmishers, and they do give you better melee defense, but it's not going to be the end of the world if you don't bring them. And it looks like they're just going to be holding things in place in the front line, allowing the back line with free company militia. And I'm not sure if he has any handgunners, but we'll go ahead and check in a moment. On top of that, a couple groups of flagellants. So these guys are definitely going to mulch down some rats. They'll be pretty good against Skaven slaves, clan rats. But they're definitely going to struggle against the front line of Ninja Hunt here, who does have a lot of Storm Vermin. But again, Storm Vermin do have relatively poor offensive stats against non-large targets. They only have 22 melee attack and 27 weapon strength. But I'm assuming Ninja Hunt just brought these guys to deal with like heavy cap charges and things like that. But the flagellants, if they can find a home against like some of the weaker troops on the flank, if you can get them on the Skaven slaves with spears or some of these weaker targets, they're definitely really going to thrive. And even against Storm Vermin, I guess they will fight to the bitter end and just kind of hold them in place. In the backline here for Gobbo, he's got some free company militia, so he's got some Overwatch fire, going to be pretty good against Rat Ogres. He does have a Jade Wizard, just with Earthblood, excuse me, Earthblood and nothing else. And up in the sky, he does have the Mighty Toad. So he's got the Toadbringer, which is probably going to be a safer pick, especially if you're not bringing Regrowth, simply because he can heal himself with the Reichland Runefang. On top of that, Gobbo King does have the Hammer of the Witches, which is going to trade pretty well. It's kind of like, it's a smaller target if you look at it compared to like the Warp Lightning Cannon, so it's going to trade more effectively in a cannon versus cannon duel. But if Ninja Hunt decides to focus all of its Warp Lightning Cannons here on the Hammer of the Witches, it'll definitely, it'll probably go down to the focus fire of 3 of those. But still, it should do okay. In the back, it looks like Gobbo does have the Royal Outdwarf Griffites, very offset, probably keeping them away until the Warp Lightning Cannons can be nullified, because 3 Warp Lightning Cannons shooting these cav will just absolutely Shrek them. Up in the sky, Gobbo King does have an Amber Wizard, so it looks like that's the reason why he just bought Earthblood, because he's going to be cycling these 2 abilities. And the Amber Wizard on the Imperial Griffin, definitely pretty strong. Fear, Terror, heavy AP. But it is a little bit squishy. It has low melee defense and low armor, so we'll see how it goes. For Ninja Hunt, a very defensive formation here in the corner. He does have 4 groups of the Storm Vermin with Halberds. In the secondary line, he's got a couple groups of Rat Ogres. Pretty good anti-cav kit. I mean, the Storm Vermin will definitely hold their own against state troops with their high armor and good melee defense. And he does get a little bit more punch with his Rat Ogres, so these guys can definitely do pretty well against infantry and heavy cav. Of course, Griffites will Shrek them, but against like Reichsguard and things like that, it's one of the few options Skaven have to deal with that. On the flanks, you got Skaven slaves and Skaven slaves with spears. In the back, he does have a couple groups of clan rats with shields, it looks like, for the melee defense most likely, and 3 Warp Lightning Cannons, which are really going to be the anchor of his build, and of course, Scroll Command in the front line with the Breath and Vermintide. I think that's it. So without further ado, guys, let's get this show on the road. So Gobbo King, I forgot to mention, in the back, he does have an extremely sneaky Zantler's Reichsguard. So these bad boys in the Vanguard deployment, people usually don't expect this for sure, and they're going to come up and charge in here. He might be able to get his way in there before Ninja Hunt can react if Ninja Hunt doesn't see this flank here in the back. So these guys are going to be charging in, but still pretty good value from the Warp Lightning Cannons. But honestly, I would probably just be shooting the Cav as well as the Amber Wizard. I mean, the Hammer of the Witches doesn't have too many good targets here aside from Rat Ogres, so I would probably be shooting different stuff here. But the Reichsguard actually charge in and get a huge charge against the Rats on the artillery crew. So Gobbo King is probably going to lose these guys, but with effective sweeping, he's probably going to sweep across the artillery and maybe shut down 2, if not 3. It'll probably just be 2, because the Rat Ogres will collapse from both sides, but he basically shuts down that piece of equipment, right? It's knocked off. He destroyed one of the pieces. These guys are charging in. Hammer the Witches actually destroys an artillery piece as well, so getting some good value there. But Ninja Hunt is responding in kind against the Amber Wizard, doing some pretty good damage, and the Hammer of the Witches is down to 2 artillery pieces as well. So the Reichsguard, they're pretty durable. Zantler's Reichsguard have high armor as well as good melee defense for a shot cav unit. Rod of Corruption going down from Ninja Hunt, trying to burst those guys down as quick as he can to get them out of the back line. The Warp Lightning Cannon still, just melting that Amber Wizard, which is a little bit tough. That is a very expensive investment. If Gobbo King loses that early, that's going to be really, devastating for sure. But Ninja Hunt also does have the Lord Scroll Key. He could probably get the Libra Bubonicus if he really wants to finish it off, and there it is. That's going to bring this bad boy down to like 500 HP. That's pretty tough. But the Gobbo King coming in with Boris, he's going to be going after the artillery, so doing everything he can to shut these things down. And looks like the Storm Vermin are going to be collapsing backwards. So that kind of opens up a pocket in the line where he has a vulnerability here. These guys are going to be falling back, and honestly, they're not going to be able to catch Boris. Although I've seen characters like Boris kind of get caught on these artillery pieces, which can be a little bit tough. Some of the Rat Ogres for Ninja Hunt are going to be piling into Boris. The Reichsguard are all, pretty much all but smashed, but they did a good job. They took these guys down to half health, and they basically neutered this Warp Lightning Cannon, which only has one piece left. It looks like the artillery is going to be switching onto the Jade Wizard here, trying to pop him down. Boris Toddbringer, a little bit surrounded by Storm Vermin as well as Rat Ogres, so he's going to be taking some work. There is, of course, plenty of healing that is available to the Gobbo King with his Jade Wizard. The frontline engagement is underway. The Spearmen are fighting. The Flagellants are fighting. They should be able to chew up these rats here. So the Skaven slaves definitely in the wrong neighborhood. But a direct hit from that Warp Lightning Cannon, just doing huge work against the Jade Wizard. In the back, it looks like a little bit of a miss micro here. The Free Company Militia are pushed into the Clan Rats with shields, but honestly, they'll probably win. I mean, yeah, only 18 melee attack on these Clan Rat Spears with shield, so the Free Company might as well just stand and fight. Other groups pushing forward, and they're going to start getting some Overwatch fire here on the Rat Ogre. So you can see they're shooting in, trying to support Boris, who's in a bad situation, but what's cool about that also is Amber Wizard plus Boris both cause fear and terror. So you can see that the Rat Ogres actually, which are, the main answer here, get terrified off. And it also opens them up for Flock of Doom, so Flock of Doom can come here. Now, in the meantime, it looks like the Royal Altar of Griffiths do sweep around, so they finally made it to the battlefield. You can see they're here in the back line, just trying to shut down the artillery. And in their sweep, they did. There's a couple stuff back here, but the main group is up here. And they rode through and basically just took out those Warp Lightning Cannons, which is quite nice. The front line, though, is slightly favoring Ninja Hunt, I would say. The Storm Vermin here kind of cleaning up the spears. But again, from a cost comparison, it's not bad. These things only cost 300 to the, almost 1,000 of the Storm Vermin, so they're doing pretty good. Free Company here are able to just kind of pick apart the Clan Rats with shields, it looks like, or maybe they're pathing after something else. Yeah, it's kind of a bit of a mishmash back here, but these Free Company Militia have engaged against Clan Rats with the shields, and they actually can shoot in melee if you put them in guard mode, so they should be able to clean up these Clan Rats, no problem. So that's what's cool about Free Company here. They have better combat stats than most Clan Rats. In the back, though, the Royal Altar of Griffiths and the remnants of the Zentless Reichsguard are still riding around, just making sure the artillery and those other units aren't going to come back. The Storm Vermin do push after them. They're definitely picking off some kills, but there are some Spearmen here who can definitely hold them up, which is going to free up the charge. And a great rear charge coming in on those Clan Rats. The Royal Altar of Griffiths do cause fear and terror, which is very cool. So they're pretty much instantly going to terror out those Clan Rats who are already very tattered. Boris has landed again. Looks like he's going to be going after the Scroll Man. He does get hit with a Libra Bubonicus, as well as Rod of Corruption, which is very tough. But the Griffites are here now. The Griffites, they're still going to struggle against those Halberds, but again, yeah, Skrolk is definitely getting the upper hand in this engagement. So the Toad is going to have to fall back. The Rat Ogres are pushing in as well, and you can see the Free Company Militia in the front line are actually doing a pretty good job. Like, they beat those Clan Rats in melee. Now they're going to be shooting Overwatch into some of these Storm Vermin, who are, yes, heavily armored, but again, they are a good target for such things. I mean, it's going to wear them down eventually. So the Boris Todbringer is going to be going after the scraps. At this point, Gobbo King, it's kind of become a very scattered fight. He's going to be wanting to go after a lot of the units that are isolated, like circling with his calves. Skrolk is very slow. Both of his Libra Bubonicus charges are gone. And a pretty good breath attack right there from Ninja Hunt does clip through those Free Company Militia, doing some pretty substantial damage. But Gobbo definitely wants to take advantage of his mobility and just isolate Skaven troops. But oh, look at that withering fire coming in from the Free Company Militia. There's like a huge concave. They just shatter those Rat Ogres with sheer firepower. And now Boris is getting in there with that deadly onslaught, and he's giving Skrolk the business. And without Libra Bubonicus, Skrolk is going to have a little bit of trouble fighting back, but he is shooting into the Storm Vermin. Ninja Hunt is pursuing with the Storm Vermin with Halberds on the far side. He has a lot of elite troops left for sure, but Boris can definitely snipe Lords and as well as mass terror out Skaven troops. So up on the high ground, there is a Jade Wizard back here. It looks like there are some rallying Skaven. The Warp Lightning Cannon has one piece left. It looks like there's a couple, but I think the crews for these ones are pretty much offline. And Storm Vermin are going to be chasing down the Free Company Militia, but whatever they chase, they're taking crossfire. So the Free Company Militia is just sitting and shooting, getting some pretty good value. And the Griffites are going to get a rear charge, and they actually might be able to break the leadership of these Storm Vermin. And if they did, if you can chase, 101 models off the battlefield, that is just such big value. Balance power is pretty even at this point. I would say it's pretty close to the center. It might favor Ninja Hunt a little bit here. Boris Todbringer's, still in the hunt, kind of cleaning up the scraps, making sure that the Skaven artillery can't come back online. Another thing that's quite nice for Gobbo King, he still has two of the cannons back there, which are online, so he can go after some high-value targets there. Free Company are picking apart the Skaven, though. Definitely doing a very good job. And the Royal Altar of Griffites plus the Zentless Reichsguard are able to take out a group of 100-plus Skaven, bring them down to 70 models, and should be able to chase them off the battlefield right now, which would be massive value. Skaven are pretty bunched up right here. There are some Imperial Spears here kind of holding valiantly, but the Skaven hordes are just relentless, just pushing in here. Definitely not a bad target. Boris wanted to land and just run through and just try and terror out some of those guys, but I feel like he's looking at the Warp Lightning Cannons, checking them out, making sure there's no more. I think this crew might be able to get back on, which would be pretty good for Ninja Hunt here if he could get some good shots on Boris. But Boris comes in there. He instantly terror out some of the Clan Rats. The Zentless Reichsguard charge in, but a very good Rod of Corruption right there. Well, I guess it's going to be hitting the Zentless Reichsguard and the Spearmen. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. In the meantime, though, Boris Todbringer is going to be falling back. He's going after some of these Warp Lightning Cannons, which do get terrified. So very good persistence here from the Empire, just chasing these down, because they're one of the things that really could punish the Toad. Right? They could just sit and shoot at him, and it would be pretty tough to remove them at this point in the game if Ninja Hunt just decided to protect it with a group of Halberds or something. So the Free Company Militia are kiting back now. The Skaven are kind of getting stretched out a little bit, but they have a lot of numbers. They might be able to catch these Free Company, but the cannon is still pouring fire on, which is eventually going to wear down a lot of the Storm Vermin. You can see Boris Todbringer gets a few good attacks on Skrolk. And now, you know, the Empire's trying to restabilize, right? They're rallying some of the flagellants here. They got some spearmen in the back. They're going to form a bit of a secondary pocket. And, you know, the Griffites, even though they only have 6 models, are going to be really good for chasing things down and just kind of routing them off. So Free Company turnabout face. They're going to take some pot shots here. The summon rats will be going in a matter of seconds. So Gobble King probably kiting back to, you know, get rid of those guys and make sure they're not going to be an issue. But he's getting some good fire here. Stormvermin, of course, very gifted with their armor. They're going to be somewhat durable. And it looks like Boris Todbringer in the main pocket is going to be continuing to try and kill Skrull. And the Jade Wizard is going to be chasing off hordes of these fleeing Skaven right here. And it's a very close battle for sure. I mean, just down to the wire, just dead center in the balance of power. And you can see here the Stormvermin with halberds are going to be attacking Free Company, but a great rear charge here. Honestly, and this is tough for the Skaven at this point. Once it becomes this kind of a battle, those Griffites are just massive value train simply because they cause terror. Like, they terrify these Stormvermin. Now they can, like, that's so many Stormvermin. That's like 60, 70 of them. That's a lot to get rid of there. The Skaven Slave Spears here breaking, and it looks like the balance of power is starting to shift in the favor of the Empire. It was like back here a moment ago. Now it's like dead in the center. So there are some more Stormvermin here, but again, even though they're 63, they're shaken. And those Griffites, if microed correctly, can easily just like mass terror out these guys. Boris is in pretty good shape. He's at his healing cap. He has about 1,800 HP compared to Skrull, who has 1,500. And the Skaven are looking a little bit tattered here. They do have the Clan Rats, but that Hammer of the Witches in the back just shooting in. And now you can see it's looking a little bit tough because all these forces of the Skaven over here, which was quite a bit, right? It was like 200 Stormvermin at one point, are just getting picked apart by the Imperial Cap, and they're just going to get run down. Boris, of course, very mobile, and Skrull doesn't have his Libra Bubonicus. He did use it earlier to take out the Jade Wizard, who I think he actually did kill, so definitely some good stuff there. But at this point, the Free Company Militia are just going to turn about face. They can easily just pick apart these Stormvermin with charges from Boris Todbringer on the Lord Skrull. I mean, you can see the bounce power going in the favor of the Empire. I mean, there's really not much the Skaven can do in this position with the Griffites. He's just going to patiently chase off those Stormvermin and then come in there with Boris as well as the Free Company and just take those Skaven apart. But at that point, Ninja Hunt is going to bow out of the game. That's going to be the W for Gobble King. So yeah, it was a great game, honestly. It was close. It was back and forth. There was a couple things. I think the sneaky Reichsguard in the beginning were just super solid. Like getting those guys into the back line and you know, disrupting those Warp Lightnings initially was really good. I think, yeah, like had they been spotted and the halberds could have been repositioned, like that could have been that, like, yeah, that would have been tough if those Warp Lightning cannons could have just like sat and shot happily. Granted, you know, the Free Company did really good actually. They were able to win a lot of melee fights and provide Overwatch fire. A really good play with the what's it called, the Royal Altdorf Griffites. They were able to like just rear charge like almost full health group of Stormvermin, you know, break them down really quick and then chase them off the battlefield. That was huge value, and it was definitely a cool build with the Amber Wizard and the Toadbringer. The Amber Wizard definitely got punished by Ninja Hun's Warp Lightning cannon play, but yeah, it was pretty cool seeing. I like that. I think having like big terror causing monsters can be tough for the Skaven, but of course Skrull does give you a bit of a retort. He's able to Libra Bubonicus and do some really good work. But once it does devolve to that point where you have like a couple tattered infantry running around and the Empire has like a big terror-causing Lord, plus like some terror-causing Cav and missile units, it's going to be pretty tough for the Skaven. I think it was a pretty solid victory for the Empire at that point. But yeah, very well played to both players, to the Gobble King and Ninja Hunt. Definitely a very fun game to watch for sure. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that community cast. And if you haven't, make sure to check out Gobble King over on his YouTube channel. You guys have probably seen him. It's in my recommended channels over there. You guys can see he's on the side as well. And Ninja Hunt, of course, streams over on Twitch. So if you guys haven't seen him, he streams pretty regularly. I think it's multiple times a week. So yeah, check it out. Thanks again for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we will see you guys next time.